Good morning, Wake and Takers. What is going on? It's me, Justin, the Lord O Games, back once again. The show is for Thursday, March 19th, and we have had another combatant enter the RB1 challenge, I would say. And it's not exactly how you would think. It's probably not someone that you expected, given that they're running back on a bad team. But the opportunity is just unfathomable right now for De'Von Achane down in Miami because the tanking isn't done. The tanking isn't done down in Miami. They shipped out Jaylen Waddle in a blockbuster trade to the Denver Broncos, getting a first and a couple other picks in return to send out Waddle and a fourth-round pick over to Denver. And it's madness. It's absolute madness. But at the end of the day, like I said, De'Von Achane is a real threat for the RB1 in the 2026 season. Everyone who thought that he was going to be dead this season, it just feels like that's not going to happen here, no matter how bad the offense is. The only thing that will stop De'Von Achane is the fact that his body might not be able to handle 350 touches this season, which is well within the realm of possibilities. There's no world where this offense has enough added to it where De'Von Achane does not see 350 plus touches. I mean, he broke 300. He was just at 300 last season, and it's just he's been kissing that line for the past two years now, and we're here. And that's all that Miami has. It is De'Von Achane. They don't have a defense. They don't have an offense. All they have is an Achane right now. So it is going to be absolutely incredible to watch. Typically, you hear you don't go after a running back on a bad offense. But at the end of the day, De'Von Achane is such a dynamic, explosive player that if he's getting this type of volume, if he's going to see 350 plus touches, and doesn't matter what kind of offense, his explosive play ability, his pass catching ability, everything about De'Von Achane's game says that it is glass cannon, can break off anything for a touchdown. So if you just you're aiming and trying to hit that lotto ticket 350 plus times, you're gonna hit it a lot more than you don't. And really, that's what I'm saying. The only question I have is, can he hold up? Can he survive the 2026 season with this type of volume that I am projecting him to have fresh out of this trade? Obviously, the NFL draft could shake things up here down in Miami, but I just don't see anything shaking it up to the point where 350 is not achievable. It's just that's where I got him right now. And in terms of his value right now, he's currently running back 7 on Underdog. That's literally, he's picked 12-13 in most drafts there. It's like a 12.9 ADP averaged out over all the drafts so far pre-NFL draft. And really, I think that is a good spot for him. I think that's people being afraid of the touchdown upside and him not being able to achieve that. But for this alone, for the pure volume jump here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bump him up 2 spots from that. I'll put him over James Cook. I'll put him over Ashton Genty right now. And I'd even flirt with keeping him damn near even, if not a little bit over Christian McCaffrey for the 2026 season. Very similar player. The only thing that we had was Christian McCaffrey saw 400 plus touches last season. And now we have here De'Von Achane, who could see that exact amount of volume with even more explosiveness because he's dealt with less serious injuries. He's got the same, he's got the speed, he's younger, he's got the pass catching ability. The only thing is he doesn't have any support around him. So moving the chains will be the challenge here for the Miami Dolphins. But De'Von Achane is just set to absolutely go nuclear. Again, RB1, potentially. You could be getting the RB1 in the mid to back of the first round here. If you miss out on Jahmyr Gibbs or Bijan Robinson, you can go ahead and just press your luck here with De'Von Achane. Obviously, the risk is much greater with Achane compared to those other 2 guys at the very top of the draft. But if you are looking for RB1 potential without having to spend the 101 overall, I think that De'Von Achane is definitely going to be one of the guys that is needs to be at the top of your lotto ticket list there at the back of the first. If you don't get your elite wide receivers or you don't get your top 2 running backs there, I got no problem even selecting De'Von Achane over Jonathan Taylor at this point. So I could see Achane going anywhere from RB3 to this RB7 baseline that he's at right now. It really, like I said, it just comes down to what is your risk appetite in terms of this Miami offense, because the TD upside is questionable. We don't know what this offense is going to look like outside of ugly. But at the end of the day, we also don't know what this defense is going to look like outside of ugly. Like, they have stripped this entire team down to the bones. And they are eating so much dead salary, dead cap this season that it's not like they're bringing anyone else in. They're pretty much going to field the bare minimum out there. And Achane seems to be the only piece that is worth a damn at this point. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this Miami offense and this Miami team operates in general. But I still feel like we're going to see forced shootouts due to the fact that there is no defense, that they're not going to be, it's not like they're going to be able to establish the run outside of the early game, but that doesn't matter for De'Von Achane. Achane can operate in the passing game, in running routes, out of the backfield, in the slot, move him around, just find interesting, creative ways to get him the ball. And that's literally going to be the offense. It's going to be either Malik Willis is running for it or De'Von Achane has got the ball in his hands. And that's going to be the Miami offense. And I think that is going to be an incredibly fantasy successful recipe, because it's so, like, we talk about consolidated offenses. That's usually in terms of target share, a consolidated target share. This is quite literally the entire offense is consolidated in the quarterback for rushing and in De'Von Achane for everything else. So it's going to be an absolute blast to watch this unfold in 2026. As it stands right now, as I said, I easily have Achane in there for 350 plus touches. I easily have him anywhere like high upside ceiling play. He's RB1. I think right now RB7 is like, I think the floor is obviously lower than that if there are no touchdowns to accompany it, accompany the mass volume. But at the same time, the breakaway touchdown is there so often with a guy like Achane that I'm not scared off of it that much. I think that RB7 is a completely reasonable price in terms of ADP. Again, I would even say that you could bump him up over Christian McCaffrey for the RB4 spot. If you're afraid of going away from like the big body guys like Bijan and Jonathan Taylor, or my clear 101 Jahmyr Gibbs, I have no problem slotting Achane in there to the RB4 spot. But let's talk about the man who also got traded. What's this mean for the Denver Broncos? Jaylen Waddle. I really don't think that this is going to impact his fantasy outlook too much. It's a very like reverse situation to the David Montgomery trade, where Montgomery is trading away efficiency in the Lions offense to go to the Houston Texans, where he's going to get a bunch more volume. It's the reverse of that. Jaylen Waddle was one of 2 pieces of the Miami offense before this trade. And he was going to see just a ridiculous amount of targets in this offense, regardless of how much Malik Willis is trusted to throw the ball. They were going to have to throw the ball, and it was going to have to go to Waddle. So he's going to lose a ton of volume here. He was going to probably be pushing 30% target share in Miami, if not more. And he's going now to Denver, where he's going to be a 1A, 1B situation with Courtland Sutton. But I feel like they complement each other very well. So I think that he's trading a crazy 30% target share, and he's going to go ahead and flip that into probably closer to about a 20% to 25% if he can be the most reliable target for Bo Nix. That's going to be where he's going to be sitting, which is still very, very good. I mean, if he can secure that 25%, he's going to smash his ADP where he's at. But the true question really comes down to is he's trading in this high amount of volume, and is he going to actually be more efficient? Because we saw Bo Nix last season. He had some really, really good games. He had some really, really bad games, and the passing efficiency was really the issue. So if he can get that cleaned up with a better supporting cast, because we saw Denver was struggling to find a number 2 behind Courtland Sutton. It was Sutton at the top, steady Eddie, consistent type guy. And then we had Mims, we had Pat Bryant, we had Troy Franklin finally sees the role as the solidified number 2 there. But now that's kind of being shaken up, and Waddle is very easily the 1A, 1B, depending on how Nix feels going into next season and how Sutton is holding up at his age right now. So Waddle on Underdog is currently the wide receiver 25, and I don't think that's going to change too much. Like I said, I think he's more so a lateral move overall. I think his upside goes up. I think the upside goes up in terms of touchdowns and efficiency and just being on a better team. His upside is a little bit better, but the floor is also lower because we don't know where he's going to fit in on this offense. We don't know if he's going to be the 1A, the 1B, the 2. We don't really know where how he's going to fit quite yet. So I do feel like the floor drops out quite a bit because that volume is not guaranteed like it was in Miami, but you have the higher upside of the ceiling. So I feel like wide receiver 25, perfectly fine. I like him a little bit better than that. But honestly, like looking at the other guys in the area, I feel like he just fits in that tier of wide receiver where you have Scary Terry, Devontae Adams, Rome Odunze, Jamison Williams, Devonta Smith. He's in that tier, and I think that he is just very much solidified in the middle to bottom half of that tier. So not too much movement here on the Jaylen Waddle side for me. I feel like the real value is going to be Courtland Sutton right now, wide receiver 35 on Underdog. And I'm not sure I fully understand that, other than the fact that people are going to say that age cliff is here. He's going into his age 31 season. He's 30 and a half years old right now. So he's going into his age 31 season, but the guy's coming off a back-to-back top 15 seasons in terms of fantasy football, in terms of points, fantasy points per game, two years in a row in the top 24. 13 fantasy points per game last season, 14 the season before that. So he's coming off of 2 good seasons. He's definitely got the rapport with Bo Nix here. He definitely fits in well with this offense that Sean Payton is running. So yes, Waddle will come in and eat some targets. So the volume does go down a little bit, but I don't think that I think it's going to be a 1A, 1B situation where Sutton last season was operating on a 21.5% target share. And he still put up 13 fantasy points per game with a wide receiver 13 finish because he played all 17 games 2 years in a row now. So I really don't understand the wide receiver 35 ADP. I will be scooping him up right there because I feel like the Waddle news will push him down even further. So I think that he is a very consistent wide receiver that might not always have the big games waiting there, but he's a touchdown threat every game. And we know Jaylen Waddle loves to visit the blue tent. We know that Jaylen Waddle can't stay on the field. So if you're getting a guy who is the 1B in an offense that he's been top 15 wide receiver in 2 years in a row, and he's now at a wide receiver 35 ADP because of this new wide receiver coming in that likes to get injured, if you can get the guy that wide receiver 35 and Jaylen Waddle gets injured and misses chunks of time, and then you have a top 15 wide receiver on a weekly basis, that's just a no-brainer to me. Like I understand it's not sexy. It's not a sexy pick. I don't care. I don't care if it's not a sexy pick. It's going to go ahead and win me a bunch of money if I just have a very consistent wide receiver 2 on my team here. Like at his floor is a very consistent wide receiver 2, and his high end is a wide receiver 1. Yes, it's probably wide receiver 12. I don't care. That's wide receiver 12 at a wide receiver 35 ADP. If that's not a win, I don't know what is. I mean, he's still going to get 100 targets in an offense that is going to be good. Not great, but good, with the potential to be great. So I very much think that the ceiling is much higher for Waddle and Sutton compared to where they're going in terms of ADP. I do think that Waddle being in that tier of wide receiver, I do feel like it is harder to make the click on him because there is so much uncertainty with this new situation. But we have seen this trend die in the most recent years, in the past 5 years or so, where wide receivers that get traded in the offseason or find a new team in the offseason, they don't do well their first year. That whole whatever is kind of just dead now. We've seen it be put to bed. We've seen guys just absolutely dominate. Stephon Diggs, DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams. We've seen these guys go to new quarterbacks and new teams and still absolutely deliver. So I don't think that's going to scare him. That narrative is going to scare me off of Jaylen Waddle. But what scares me off of it is the uncertainty of the floor when he is going around guys that have a built-in floor and a very similar ceiling. I do think that Waddle can outperform the ADP, but again, with the guys around him, they all can too. So I would much rather be taking my shot here in the Denver Broncos passing game on Courtland Sutton, because again, wide receiver 35 just feels dirt cheap for a guy that has just done nothing but be consistent for 2 seasons in a row in the same exact system. So if you're going to go ahead and ask me which one I'm taking here and who I would lean towards in the Denver Broncos offense, it will be Courtland Sutton. And that's in terms of the entire offense. Running backs feel kind of like at the ceiling. Waddle feels right in that realm of like the perfect balance of ceiling and floor 80 in terms of his ADP. But Sutton here just feels like a glaring value to me just looking at it. So I will be clicking the button frequently on Courtland Sutton. And I honestly, again, I feel like his ADP is going to do nothing but drop until we hear some camp pieces in the fall where they're saying, oh, look, Courtland Sutton's still the favorite. Duh, no shit. But back to Miami, just to kind of talk about poor Malik Willis here and the effect that this is going to have on the rest of the Miami offense, because again, love this for De'Von Achane. De'Von Achane, 400 touches, Christian McCaffrey-like season, locked and loaded here. He could absolutely do it. And it would not surprise me in the slightest. The only thing that I'm concerned about with the De'Von Achane hype here is, can his body hold up to that amount of volume? That's my only concern with De'Von Achane. And then we look here to Malik Willis, and this dude looks like he got brought in as a favor from his old coaches. They front loaded the contract, so he gets his guaranteed money. He gets his 36 mil guaranteed or whatever it is, but he's going to have to take an absolute beating to earn it. Miami does come out of here with the number 30 pick, so they are sitting in the NFL draft with the number 11 and the number 30, but there are so many holes on this team in terms of offensive line, the entirety of the defense, weapons on the offense. Like, you would think that maybe one of those 2 picks is going to be a wide receiver. You would hope, for Malik Willis's sake, that one of those 2 picks is going to be a wide receiver. I've also seen some rumors saying that it might be Kenyon Sadiq at 11, which would be just 1, a reach, in my opinion, and 2, just not the way to go. Not for Miami. That is a luxury pick that they cannot afford in terms of a athletic offensive weapon in a position that you don't spend that kind of capital. Look at Kyle Pitts. You don't spend that kind of capital on a guy if it's not the cherry on top. And it definitely is not. It would be a cherry on a turd sandwich here in Miami. So if I had to guess, I believe that pick number 30 will be a wide receiver, depending on how the board shakes out. Either that or there might be some trade action going on where they move up, they move down. I thought that I was going to applaud the Miami Dolphins on their tank and rebuild here, but I'm also just very confused at this point on what it is other than Malik Willis going out there to take an absolute beating. But I mean, somewhere in this draft, whether it's pick 11, pick 30, pick 43, I think it is, one of those picks is going to be a wide receiver, and they're desperate for it. But I just don't think it's going to be enough for Malik Willis here, the sacrificial lamb in Miami. But just, I mean, at least he can run. It's going to save his fantasy production if he can. Another guy that you got to hope that he can just stay put together out there after taking hit after hit. But he's going to be running for his life. De'Von Achane's going to be running for his life. And the Miami Dolphins are just a messy dumpster fire for 2026. But that's what you do in a rebuild. So that's the Jaylen Waddle news. Let's go ahead and welcome in, guys. How are we doing? Again, this show is for Thursday, March 19th. I am the Lord of Games, Justin, taking you through the news here. We got a little bit more free agent cleanup here. I feel like everything is finally coming to a full settle here. There's a few names still kind of lingering out there, but I feel no one too major. I mean, when two of the top names that you're keeping an eye on here are Jawan Jennings and David Njoku, I feel like you're winding down the free agent frenzy here. So not a whole lot to talk about today, but being that I'm doing one show a week for the time being, we do have quite a bit to catch up on. So I'll go ahead and jump right into it. But before I do that, as always, please make sure that you are following and subscribe to the Player Profiler Now YouTube channel. Make sure that you go ahead and you smash that like button down below and click the bell so that way you get notifications every time that I go live and everyone else here on the Player Profiler Now channel goes live, so you can go ahead and keep up with everything. There's a ton of news coming out, and it's only going to ramp up as we get closer and closer to the NFL draft, which is going to lead us closer and closer to your dynasty rookie drafts. We got a ton of things going out right now, a lot of rookie pieces that you're just not going to want to miss. And as I said, just make sure that you're liking the video. Make sure that if you are listening to this on the podcast, if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you are listening, go ahead and give us a review over there. Hopefully it's 5 stars. Hopefully you like the show. Hopefully you go ahead and just hit the 5 stars and let us know how you feel. We can only improve if we hear from you guys. And also, don't be greedy. Share this with your friends. Yes, you want to keep, all of the wake and take knowledge for yourself. You want to keep the fun banter that we got going here to yourself, but don't do that. Don't be selfish. Share it with your friends. Let everyone come in, join the wake and takers. We're all a big family here. It's all for fun. Yes, we want to win. Yes, we want to take everyone else's money. But at the end of the day, it's a game. Let's have some fun with it. Go ahead and share it all with your friends. And also, I am go ahead and posting my my takes out here as well, my thoughts as they kind of trickle into the brain and as things happen on a snap basis here over on X at JOwens_FF, as well as some short form videos over on TikTok at JOwensFF over there. That is all I got for that. Let's go ahead and just keep chugging along here. So again, as I said, we had some more free agents to talk about. We finally, that's not the one that I wanted to do. We finally had some of these quarterbacks get released and land once the season rolled over. And the number one that I am very much excited about drafting, and I mean, I got him in a ton of dynasty, so it's not biased, but it might be a little bit biased, is Kyler Murray becoming a Viking. Currently QB 19, and yes, please. JJ McCarthy is QB 35 for a reason. The expectation was most certainly that Kyler Murray was going somewhere to get a 1-year deal to prove that he's still got it. And it was either going to be the Jets, and we'll talk about the Jets a little bit later. Although, did we talk about them last week? I don't remember, but we'll briefly touch on the Jets. But we thought it was going to be the Jets who go back and trade for Geno Smith. And so that kind of struck there. We thought it could be Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh is still playing up, apparently, the Aaron Rodgers lottery game. And so it is the Minnesota Vikings that come out and they say, we want to make JJ McCarthy compete for the job. And they go and get Kyler Murray, who I think is going to win this starting job. I think that he is a more complete quarterback than JJ McCarthy at this stage. And yes, I get it. Kyler Murray has not been great in terms of the NFL lately. So can he win the job? It feels a little bit more iffy than it really should be. But after what we saw to JJ McCarthy last year, he's going to have to improve as a passer significantly to outplay Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray, yes, I understand. Again, not the most efficient passer, not the most on-time scripted type quarterback, but the dude makes plays, and he has probably one of the best set of weapons that you have out in the NFL. I mean, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, even TJ Hawkinson still might not be as explosive, might not be as big of a yak monster as before, but he is a reliable guy across the middle. We saw what Trey McBride was doing over there in Arizona. So it's definitely interesting. And I mean, in the backfield, he's got Aaron Jones, and we could see some more action in that backfield there as well. So it's definitely got some weapons here to play with for Kyler. And I mean, just it's so exciting for Justin Jefferson to have a real quarterback again after the pain that we all went through last season, including Justin Jefferson himself. So I definitely feel like this is a big win for the Minnesota Vikings as a whole, including Kyler Murray finding a new home here. And again, if JJ McCarthy beats Kyler Murray out, it is because JJ McCarthy has improved that much as a passer, because where Kyler Murray was even last season in an abysmal injury shortened season, it was light years better than what JJ McCarthy put out there last season. So it's definitely going to be, in my opinion, the Kyler show. And I am all the way back in terms of fantasy football. The ceiling was always there. The ceiling has always been there with Kyler Murray. I mean, the thing that we've been missing the past couple seasons was the passing, the consistent passing. And we've seen Kyler Murray do it with a primo wide receiver. And now he's back with one of the top 3 wide receivers in the entire league. And outside of last season, Kyler Murray's averaged 18 plus fantasy points per game. And last season was only because he was cut short from an injury after 5 games. So the recipe here for fantasy success with Kyler Murray, it's all there. The top wide receiver, the strong supporting cast, the legs are still working. Yes, he dealt with a foot injury last season, but that was, again, 5 weeks in. He's got so much time to get healthy. He's healthy. Otherwise, they wouldn't have signed him. And I 100% believe that he is going to take the starting job. He is going to be back in the top 10 quarterbacks at the end of the season in terms of fantasy points per game. And just overall, I'm fully bought back in on Kyler Murray. And right now you are getting the doo-doo discount from last year, where he is sitting now at QB 19. This was last week when I checked that. Let's see if he's moved at all with this news here. No, Kyler Murray is still sitting at QB 19, and I will be eating that up all the way through until they name him the starter and that ADP jumps up. Because right now they're not going to name the starter. They're going to have a competition through camp. And we got months to enjoy this juicy, juicy discount on Kyler Murray. And I will be taking it every single draft. And I hope that it sticks around for redraft season, because I would love to have Kyler Murray on my team. Just it's easy money for me there. 100%. I know I was in on him last year, and then I kind of backed off in the draft, like once draft season got closer, because the news was negative. But I feel like we're going to hear a very different side of it now. It is a proven deal for a lot of these quarterbacks this season. So we're going to hear about these guys putting in the work. And thankfully, Call of Duty released their new Battle Royale. They released that now in the spring, so that way we don't have to worry about it in fall for Kyler. So thank you, Call of Duty, for giving us a little bit of break on the Kyler Murray narrative there. Speaking of, I talked about Pittsburgh as maybe being a spot for Kyler before he ended up with the Vikings. And we got some old guys that might be fighting for a spot over there. As I said, Aaron Rodgers seems to be doing his old shenanigans where he's going to go do his darkness retreat. And will he come out of it and go back to Pittsburgh? Will he try to go to another team? Will he just fade away and retire already? I don't know. I don't think he even knows. I don't think anyone knows. But he is holding the Pittsburgh Steelers hostage. But there's another old man who may be joining the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that is Kirk Cousins. As I said, the NFL new year finally rolled over, and that means that Kirk Cousins was released by the Atlanta Falcons. And the two teams that I've heard the most out of the rumor mill have been Pittsburgh, because they have no quarterback right now. And the other one was maybe Las Vegas, to kind of allow Mendoza to ease into the starting job, maybe not just take the number 1 pick, throw him in, and possibly ruin the kid for not having everything set up around him. But I also feel like the Vegas Raiders have done a pretty good job in free agency, aside from getting screwed over by the Baltimore Ravens in the Max Crosby deal. But I feel like they've done a pretty good job of trying to establish a foundation with the offensive line, with those around on the defense as well as maybe some weapons to complement Mendoza. But it would not surprise me at all if Kirk Cousins comes in and he is just a early season fill-in, which for fantasy football, terrible. I mean, I don't expect much out of Kirk Cousins regardless, but you would much rather see him land in a Pittsburgh where he can be the starting quarterback for the entire year, because there's no one in Pittsburgh that is going to be taking over for even a Kirk Cousins. There's just, I know that there's promising things out there for the rookie from last season. I can't remember it. All of a sudden, the name is escaping me, and it's going to drive me crazy because I'm just going to look it up real quick while I talk. But even he's just not ready. He is not there, and it's just not a team that is set up for a young quarterback at this time, except for when the wheels have fallen off, and it's just going to be, let's see what you can do, kid, type deal. Where am I at? Oh my God. I'm completely, it's gone. It's gone. It's gone from the brain. We're just going to keep moving. But yeah, so I think that Kirk Cousins' best option would be to land in Pittsburgh again. They brought in Michael Pittman. They have Pat Freiermuth. They have DK Metcalf. They have Rico Dowdle. They have a running game established. So they really just need, like, if they're not going to tank, if they're not going to embrace the tank, which it doesn't seem with the moves that they're making, they are going to do that. Bring in a veteran and just float in the middle, because that's what they want to do. They want to make the playoffs, make an early round exit or a first round exit, and then call it a day and get their mid-round NFL draft pick and just keep that cycle going forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. I don't know when they're going to tear it down, but they need to do it. But again, I just don't think that this is the year, and it's going to be Kirk Cousins or Aaron Rodgers coming in to fill this void. But in terms of quarterbacks that are making moves, Justin Fields, this one was another interesting one because I've always been a Justin Fields apologist, especially for fantasy football. And Justin Fields gets traded to the Kansas City Chiefs. And that is interesting to me because I don't think that that's a move that the Kansas City Chiefs make if they are confident in Patrick Mahomes coming back for the beginning of the season. I think that we might need to have Justin Fields go in there and just run around and we'll build a plan for him to just not have to think about it too hard and not play hero ball and just keep them afloat for 3, 4, 5 games until Patrick is back and healthy and fully ready to go. Because I mean, to give draft capital away, one, for a quarterback who was terrible, I don't care if it was like a 6th, 7th round pick, still draft capital for a team that just doesn't stockpile the draft capital that much. So the Kansas City Chiefs really, 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 really got me thinking here with this one. Is Mahomes ready? And it is very interesting in terms of fantasy football. He's QB 40 right now. He's not someone that you're really going to be taking a shot on unless it is redraft season. Once that comes around and we do get news that Mahomes will not be ready, you can go ahead and take a guy like Justin Fields for dirt cheap and just ride out the rushing upside in an offense that can be schemed to keep the quarterback safe. You can go ahead and take a guy like Justin Fields early as just high upside swing for the first 3, 4, 5 weeks. And then when Mahomes comes back, you start streaming at that point, or you take another shot on a high upside guy and hope that one of those 2 late QB shots work out. But that's all that I see Justin Fields being in terms of fantasy football. Outside of that, if Mahomes is back at the beginning of the season, you're not touching him in best ball. You're not touching him in redraft. At what you're really going to see out of Justin Fields if Patrick Mahomes is back for week 1 is he's going to be a big time in-season pickup if anything happens to Patrick Mahomes. That's all it is. That's all Justin Fields will be. He's either going to be a early season flotation device for you to hold on to with some high upside, or he's going to be an in-season pickup. He's not going to be someone that you can rely on. He's not going to be someone that you can even, like last year, it was Anthony Richardson. You were hoping he won the starting job over Daniel Jones and could ride out the season on a high upside. That's never going to happen here with Fields over Mahomes. The only thing that is going to keep Fields' value afloat is going to be a Mahomes injury or Mahomes not being healthy for week 1. So those are the 2 things. So kind of nothing here out of Justin Fields outside of just something to keep a radar on your radar, especially in terms of Patrick Mahomes' health. That's really what I'm taking out of this trade here. Moving on to the running back position, we have a couple of these like lower level guys that are finding more and more homes. I talked about it 2 weeks ago with the Jahmyr Gibbs 101 speech that I gave you guys. And I mean, the signing here for Detroit only strengthens that for me. Isiah Pacheco signed to a 1-year deal in Detroit, and the David Montgomery replacement comes in, and I think that this is just perfect for Jahmyr Gibbs because Isiah Pacheco couldn't even take the goal line back role from Kareem Hunt over in Kansas City. So why in the world do we think that he would be slot into any amount of David Montgomery goal line touches? I don't believe that's going to be a thing. I think that it's going to be Gibbs everywhere. It's going to be Gibbs on the goal line, Gibbs in the red zone, Gibbs between the 20s. I think that this is a very clear number 2 breather back. It is not going to be a Sonic and Knuckles type deal here in Detroit anymore. It is going to be Gibbs, Pacheco, Gibbs, Pacheco. So I do think that Pacheco has very high upside. I do think that Pacheco is going to be better than what his running back 58 ADP says right now. But it's just you're playing pure handcuff game at that. You're not expecting him to do much in terms of redraft. He's not someone that I'm really looking to target in terms of best ball. I'll go ahead and target because there could be blow up games if the Detroit Lions can figure out the offensive line, which just seems to be falling apart day by day. But if they can get the offensive line figured out, we know that this team loves to rely on the running game. We know that this team loves to take a battering ram and just completely bash their opposing team on the head. And what better battering ram than the most aggressive, angry runner out there in Isiah Pacheco? So I think the fit makes sense. I think that it's great for Jahmyr Gibbs. It protects his upside because he will see the goal line work. As I said before, Pacheco could not fight off Kareem Hunt on the goal line. 0 goal line touches and only 22 red zone touches while in Kansas City in 2025 compared to Kareem Hunt, who had 40 red zone touches and 12 goal line carries for Kareem Hunt over there in Kansas City. So I think that the goal line role is absolutely safe for Jahmyr Gibbs. I do think that Pacheco obviously still will probably get more than 0 goal line touches. But I think that it is very much going to be the Jahmyr Gibbs show. And I mean, Pacheco, like I said, still high upside at running back 58 ADP because look at who is still behind him on this list. Sione Vaikai is the only other true running back on this roster right now. Maybe they add a young guy in the draft. Maybe they're not done adding some cheapo depot running backs in free agency, depending on how the draft goes. But right now, I think that Pacheco is a great number 2 and is an okay click in your fantasy drafts just because he's dirt cheap right now. Dirt cheap with decent upside if anything happens to Gibbs here. Another backup running back that we have some news on is Rachaad White going to the Washington Commanders. There's opportunity here. Absolutely. Opportunity is in abundance as we saw last season in Washington, but it's not promising. I mean, Rachaad White didn't do much to really command opportunity in Tampa Bay last season with Bucky Irving going down. He filled in admirably for a little bit there, and then he started to split some time with Sean Tucker. And then Bucky comes back, and then it's a 3-headed monster. And I mean, that's what we're looking at here in Washington. Washington does shed Chris Rodriguez from the roster, but at the same time, they also brought in Jerome Ford. So it's just going to be, it's looking like it's going to be another just disgusting guest fest in the Washington backfield with Rachaad White, Bill Krosky-Merritt, and now Jerome Ford. And they also re-signed Jeremy McNichols, who just doesn't want to disappear from the dynasty scene. So that's 4 running backs right there. And then you have Jaden Daniels, who is looking to be healthy and is going to be siphoning rushing opportunities out of this offense. So I'm kind of hands off on Rachaad White. It is a very, very, very just confusing backfield to guess. So this is where value may lie. This could be we could very well see Javonte Williams 2.0 here in Washington with one of these guys emerging as just the bell cow. We saw Bill Krosky-Merritt couldn't seize that last season, so it could be Jerome Ford, it could be Rachaad White. One of those 2 guys might come out of this as Washington's bell cow, and that's a very good opportunity. But we could also just see what we saw last year, where it's just gross. So I'll take my shots here. If I'm taking shots, it's probably going to be Rachaad White, just because he's still young. He's still at his at the age apex for the running back position. We saw that Bill wasn't to be trusted really last season, so I feel like they brought in these newer guys to really not have to lean on Bill. So I think that if anyone is going to take full advantage of the opportunity presented here, it's going to be White. And then I will also still take some shots on Jerome Ford, just because I think that those two guys are going to go very, very cheap here. But at the same time, I also don't know if all four of these guys make the roster at the end of camp here. So looking like a clusterfuck, but who knows how this offense is going to run. If Jaden Daniels stays healthy, they might go more pass heavy, depending on if Brandon Ayuk comes over, and all of this is moot. But at the end of the day, I think that there's very much some touchdown upside to bet on in the Washington backfield. So I will say, take a bet here. This is one of those backfields that you just don't know, and that's where the value lies. So go ahead and take your shots. And I lean Rachaad White out of the four, but I also don't really feel like you can go wrong with the dart throw there. Going back to Denver, after our Jaylen Waddle talk at the top of the show, J.K. Dobbins is back in Denver, and this one is an interesting one because I feel like I don't know why people expected R.J. Harvey to be a bell cow back in 2026. That was never going to happen. That was never the plan for R.J. Harvey, and we knew that from Sean Payton. Sean Payton doesn't operate that way. So J.K. Dobbins coming back does not surprise me. I feel like it's best case scenario for all parties involved. I don't think that the RJ Harvey truthers want to hear that, but I think that this will suppress his ADP enough to make it worth the selection right now. And I mean, RJ Harvey still has upside. He still has the ability. We know that Dobbins very rarely finishes a season fully healthy. I would love to see it out of the guy. But when he is in, he is very consistent. And that's what Sean Payton wants. Sean Payton wants the consistent, reliable guy that he has in J.K. Dobbins. And he also wants the explosive, less reliable guy that he wants to be very highly efficient. And that's going to be RJ Harvey. That's their roles. That's what they're going to be. Nothing more, nothing less. At current ADP for RJ Harvey, I do have a hard time drafting him right now. Just looking at the draft board around him, I like the wide receivers in that tier a lot more than I like the running back. I feel like he's kind of sitting in the running back dead zone right now, and deservedly so. The wide receivers going around RJ Harvey right now are DJ Moore, the rookies that haven't found a home yet, and like Marvin Harrison Jr. I like that high upside wide receiver with some floor baked in a little bit more than RJ Harvey at this current role. Again, I never expected him to be a bell cow, so his ADP kind of got ballooned up before the Dobbins signing because of the fact that people were saying that, oh, it's Harvey time. It wasn't going to be Harvey time. So we'll see if my thoughts on RJ Harvey change if his ADP comes down. I am interested in the player, interested in the offense in general, but right now at that ADP, I'm just leaning more towards the wide receiver group there. And again, I'm back here with the older guy in Denver being the one that I like most because of the ADP value that we're getting here. Dobbins is going right now as the RB 36, and that's in pure handcuff territory. He is in a handcuff tier in terms of who's going around him, and I think that Dobbins is going to be a wonderful RB2 selection for your zero, or maybe even RB1 selection for your zero RB teams. Your RB2 for your hero RB teams. He's a perfect guy where you're going to be able to plug him in and he is going to just consistently get you 10 to 15 points. And if he gets more than one touchdown, then you get a nice little spike week out of it. I don't think that's should be expected often, but it's something that is definitely in the realm of possibilities. And I think that he is just very, very cheaply priced right now. And maybe that corrects a little bit more as the signing kind of sinks in. But I also feel like we still haven't seen the NFL draft happen, and the rookies could push J.K. Dobbins down even further, making him an even bigger value in terms of just a very reliable floor play running back too. I once again, if you're going to ask me who I'm taking the older, dustier, less sexy pick here in Denver, and that's going to be J.K. Dobbins. Does that have anything to do with Sean Payton? Maybe. I don't know. Another running back that we have here that is garnering a lot of talk. There was quite a bit of flurry going on fantasy Twitter with the Chris Rodriguez Jr. signing to Jacksonville. You had the Bayshall Tootin hive in a absolute tizzy, going crazy about, oh, Chris Rodriguez isn't going to do nothing to Tootin. It's still the Tootin show. It's still the Tootin show. And then you have the guys that are on the flip side of that are saying, why would they pay Chris Rodriguez to come here if they're not going to give him all the touches? And I think the truth is in the middle. I think that it's going to be a very evenly split backfield. I don't think that we're going to see Tootin get 70% of the opportunities. I don't think we're going to see Chris Rodriguez get 70% of the opportunities. I think we're going to see a very much 50-50 backfield here. I do think that Tootin, if you're going to go after one of these guys, Tootin is still the one that you want because he has the pure high upside. He's had a year in the system already with the same coach, same offensive coordinator. He sheds Travis Etienne, sorry, trying to pronounce his name correctly now, who went over to New Orleans. So Tootin is sitting in that spot where if either of these two guys becomes the bell cow on merit alone, it will be Bayshall Tootin. And so that's where I would still be taking my shots. I like the upside here for Tootin. I think that it's very, very, very interesting. He is at RB23 in very much in that same RJ Harvey range. But again, I think that RJ Harvey never had a shot to touch J.K. Dobbins a significant amount, whereas Tootin here, a couple spots higher at RB23, can absolutely be the bell cow in this offense. I never saw it for RJ Harvey. I see it here potentially for Bayshall Tootin, but at the end of the day, Chris Rodriguez is here. The NFL draft still has to happen. And so I don't think that it's going to start off that way. And I think that the floor for Tootin is lower than RB23. But I think the ceiling is much, much higher than RB23. So I'm still comfortable taking my shots there on Tootin. But if I do miss on him, if someone does jump the shark a little bit and snipe me on a Bayshall Tootin, I got no problem scooping a Chris Rodriguez at running back 54 right now. He's in that deep handcuff range. And I think that he's going to get enough work to climb out of that range. I do think that the ADP will correct quite a bit here, and he'll probably be a little bit higher up, and probably closer to like the RB4 range. But I have no problem. If I don't get Tootin, I will be clicking Chris Rodriguez in my best ball drafts a ton this year because I think that he has very high touchdown upside. And if anything happens to Bayshall Tootin, I do think that he can very easily step in and just be a battering ram for 15 to 20 carries a week with touchdown upside in this Jacksonville offense, which I think is going to start really start to click here in 2026. So excited for that. But I definitely feel like the truth is somewhere in between what fantasy Twitter was saying with Tootin and Rodriguez. And I'm perfectly comfortable. Like I will prioritize Tootin over Chris Rodriguez, even at their like separate ADPs, like in terms of value. I would still rather have Tootin on my team at his ADP than Chris Rodriguez at his ADP. But if I miss out on Tootin, I'm clicking Chris Rodriguez every draft. I want one of these two Jacksonville running backs on my team in every single draft in terms of Dynasty, redraft, best ball. I want one of these two running backs on my team for 2026. Absolutely. Last running back I'm going to talk about here is a little bit of a quieter signing here. Keaton Mitchell to the Los Angeles Chargers. I think it is a sneaky high upside best ball scoop only. And obviously in your deeper Dynasty leagues, if you got him, you could see a good little flip opportunity if anything happens to Omarion Hampton again and Keaton Mitchell gets in there. I think that Mitchell is going to be a very, very, very interesting guy. Kamani Vidal's still on the Chargers, but he just doesn't fit the same role that Keaton Mitchell does. Mitchell is an electric, fast, in-space type guy. So Mitchell will see the field on passing downs. He will see the field in a breather back role, maybe even more so than Vidal will in terms of that, just because it gives them a little bit more flexibility in play call here with a guy like Keaton Mitchell. And I mean, Keaton Mitchell is just, he's explosive. He is an explosive player. He's probably going to be seeing some special teams play as well. But a 10.2% breakaway run rate, which is top 10 in the NFL last season. And he did that on 59 carries. He had 6 breakaway runs. Again, top 10 in the NFL on only 59 carries. The dude's got speed. It's sexy. And I think that he's in a good spot here. We saw backup running backs have very, very nice success with the Los Angeles Chargers when their offensive line was healthy. So if we get that line healthy and back out on the field, I think that Keaton Mitchell is going to have some boom weeks. But at this point, he's nothing more than a deep best ball scoop in your final rounds, and you're just hoping for those big home run type plays there. But again, if you got him on your dynasty team, wait for that value spike after a big game and just try to flip. I don't think he's going to be anything long term, but I definitely think that you can go ahead and get a good little flip here. That is all that I got for the running backs here. Before we get to the wide receivers and the tight ends, I do want to go ahead and circle on back here. I know that I love talking about best ball. I know I love talking about redraft, but we are inching closer and closer every single day to the NFL draft. And as I said earlier, what that means is we are inching closer and closer to your rookie dynasty drafts. And what better way to prepare than to just completely digest full player page breakdowns in the Player Profiler Rookie Guide. We have partnered with Campus to Canton this season, so it is guys that are deep in the Devy and the college football streets, just absolutely tearing apart the tape, dissecting the analytics, and putting together a whole encompassing player profiler to let you know who's going to be available where, who's projected to go where. And it's just going to be continuously updated here as we keep going. And to talk a little bit more about that, let me go ahead and pass it over to the Podfather.
In Dynasty Leagues, you must get your rookie draft right. You cannot get it wrong. That's why we have the Player Profiler Rookie Guide in partnership with Campus to Canton. They follow these guys from their freshman year through to the NFL. We're breaking these players down, everything you need to know about them and everything you need to know about the picks in your rookie draft. Oh, I have the 102. What do I do? I have the 108. What do I do? It's a complete player and strategy guide. It's just $25 on playerprofiler.com. You get it. You have the peace of mind that I'm going to make the right decision to build a super team.
I will definitely be diving into that this weekend and just kind of chewing my way through it as I start to take a look at where I'm sitting in my rookie drafts, start to make some moves here in my dynasty leagues, because it's about that time. Like I said, I know I love speaking all about the best ball, all about the redraft, but I am also an avid dynasty fantasy football player. I got more leagues than I would care to admit. And I gotta start studying. And what better way to start studying than with the dynasty, with the rookie guide over there on Player Profiler. Go ahead over to the Player Profiler website, buy your rookie guide, get ready for your drafts. It's time. It's very exciting. We're almost there. And I mean, it's just around the corner, guys. We got about a month. Before the NFL draft. And that, like I said, I don't know about you guys, but I'm always pushing my legs to, as soon as that NFL draft is over, I'm even itching to start going on my rookie draft after round one. I'm like, all right, I mean, like, the important guys got drafted. Let's go ahead and go. But I get it. Like, we're right there. So go ahead, get your study on, get the rookie guide, go ahead and get the all-in package. So it's all included with the dynasty package as well. Just get it all in one, so that way you can go ahead and be ready for whatever happens, whether it's off season, in season, draft season, doesn't matter. Make sure that you're prepped and locked and loaded for that. But like I said, let's keep on moving with these free agent signings. Not a ton of interesting stuff here in the wide receiver and tight end, so it's going to be a little bit quicker on the back end here. Quarterbacks and running backs always stealing the show, much to the dismay of the wide receivers and tight ends. But we still had some signings here, and I do feel like there is fantasy relevance and fantasy takes and just fantasy edges to eke out here. Starting with probably the biggest signing here being Romeo Doubs going to the New England Patriots. And Doubs is a guy that I have constantly been down on. I've just never liked the player in terms of just, I feel like he's a very consistent, boring type of player, in my opinion. I don't think he's got explosiveness. I don't think he's got anything special. I think he's very good he's very good at a lot of things, but just not great at anything. He doesn't have anything that separates him other than just sticking around and hanging around there. So, but I feel like the landing spot that he has come to offers him the best opportunity to change that narrative. He can go ahead and show that he is very much a wide receiver one stud type guy, or he can do exactly like he did in Green Bay, a very similar style offense that likes to spread the ball around a lot and he can kind of just fade away and have a game here or there, but just kind of be like a couple targets, big game, couple targets guy. That's what I'm thinking happens here. But I feel like his value in terms of ADP is it's there. Like I'll take the shots because again, it's a wide receiver room that isn't established. There isn't a top dog. There isn't anyone with Diggs gone here in New England. There isn't a clear cut one. So the chair is open. Doubs is getting paid to come in. He can absolutely claim that chair. He can make it a throne and be a top 24 wide receiver. It is within the realm of outcomes. It is within the realm of possibilities here. But I personally don't feel like I see that happening. I feel like he's just going to be another dude. And I feel like this is going to be one of those offenses where I like the quarterback, I like the running backs, but I don't want to touch the tight ends or the wide receivers. And that's the way that the New England Patriots are kind of shaping up for me here in my early analysis, in my early look at the team here. But again, wide receiver 49 on underdog right now. So I'll still take some shots because the upside is much higher than that. The upside, again, is top 24 wide receiver for half that price. So I will be taking some shots here. Let me know what you guys think about this one. I feel like this one is kind of one of those polarizing takes here where some people are all in on Romeo Doubs, the player, and the landing spot is great for if you believe in the player, but I don't believe in the player. So I just feel like he's going to do what he did in Green Bay and just be another dude in a group of dudes doing some dude things. Nothing special, just dudes playing some ball. And that's Romeo Doubs to me. Like I said, not a lot of great news here for wide receivers. So we're going to talk about some deeper, nasty guys here. Jalen Nailor going on a decent contract over to the Las Vegas Raiders. And I think that this is a sneaky value. I truly, truly do. I don't think for redraft he's going to be anything special, but I definitely like the prospect here for a best ball guy. Someone who can slot in and be the number 2 target on this team behind Brock Bowers. Right now he's going as wide receiver 76 on underdog, and that's very, very late in your drafts. That's damn near the end of draft. So easy pick here. And we know that Brock Bowers is going to be the top target, whether it's Mendoza, whether Kirk Cousins comes in, no matter who the quarterback is in Las Vegas, at what point Brock Bowers is the number 1. But like I said, the number 2 chair is wide open. We have Dante Thornton, we have Trey Tucker, and we have Jack Besh, all 3 of which had opportunity last year. Granted, the opportunity wasn't really primo opportunity. It was very, very much sad opportunity. So we might see these guys get a little bit more run, but Jalen Nailor coming in on a decent contract. Like this wasn't like a minimum type contract. This was a decently sized contract. And I think that at a minimum, you get a very cheap floor play with volume here on the Vegas Raiders being up for grabs, and high upside play if the Raiders miraculously turn this around and have a competent team and a competent offense. I think that Jalen Nailor is going to be a very, very sneaky type guy with some high upside and just a ton of targets that he can soak up here behind Brock Bowers. So I definitely find myself being very, very intrigued in late round drafts, just kind of being like an automatic click for me. I'm going to be very heavy on my Jalen Nailor this season until the ADP starts creeping up higher. Because I know that he's going to be a type of guy where you're going to hear the camp news about Jalen Nailor outworking these other 3 guys in the wide receiver room. So I'm going to keep an eye out on what comes into the draft as well in Vegas. But right now, Nailor is going to be an easy click for me. And someone who is a big time avoid for me is going to be Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk going to the San Francisco 49ers. And we have one of the most interesting roster compositions you will ever see in the entire NFL, of a bunch of dudes that have just the most banged up legs you'll ever see. Just the most injury prone just offense you'll ever see. We got Christian Kirk, who has very few healthy seasons behind him. Mike Evans, who is notorious for having hamstring injuries and dealt with hamstring concussion injuries last year. We have George Kittle, who is another infamous injury prone tight end with the knee injuries, the hamstrings, the soft tissues. Christian McCaffrey, always 1 year full go, 1 year injured, 1 year full go, 1 year injured. And then we also have Ricky Pearsall, who got shot. Everyone said, oh, you can't call him injury prone because he got shot. Fair enough. But then last season, MCL sprain in and out all season, just never really got back to his full self. And now you have all of those guys on one offense. And it's just like all of these guys, between the damage that's been done to their bodies and age in general, where is the upside? Like, you have all of this injury risk, but where is the upside? Like, unless you think that these guys are going to just turn back the clocks with Brock Purdy throwing the ball all around, I don't understand this selection or this signing, other than the fact that they need to fill the wide receiver room because they're getting rid of Brandon Ayuk. They're not bringing back Jawan Jennings. They brought in Mike Evans. Like, they're just trying to fill roles, but they're bringing in another injury prone guy. Like, I'm very confused in general. And this is not a needle mover for me in terms of fantasy football. This San Francisco offense is still very much, for me, top heavy with where I would want to go with Kittle, CMC. Evans is I'm 50-50 on right now. But Christian Kirk does not matter to me in terms of fantasy football. He does not matter to me in terms of affecting those other guys. Obviously, this could take away some targets from a George Kittle, from a Christian McCaffrey, from a Mike Evans, but I think that's very much going to be in the noise with how many vacated targets there are in this offense compared to last season. So it's news, but it's not really anything that we need to go too deep on. And then to wrap it up here, I have the tight ends. We had 2 tight end signings of note that I have here. First one, coming back to the Washington Commanders, Chig Okonkwo gets signed to the Washington Commanders. I think that is a great landing spot for him. I think that, especially if we're expecting Brandon Ayuk to go there, I think that this Washington offense becomes very high powered. It becomes very scary over there in the NFC East, where we want to see a full healthy season from Jayden Daniels again after the electric rookie season. We were disappointed last year with just injury after injury and then a gruesome injury. So we want to see Jayden Daniels stay healthy and continue to improve as a passer. And I mean, he's got the weapons right now. He's got Scary Terry still again. Brandon Ayuk probably going to be headed to Washington, whether it be in trade or San Francisco finally begrudgingly releases him. But I do believe that we will see Ayuk in Washington, and now Okonkwo in Washington as well. Just a huge athletic tight end who has a little bit of flashes here. But I think that he is going to be a great value in fantasy football as well. We got Okonkwo here at tight end 24, and that is far too low for me. They got him behind guys like TJ Hawkinson, Dalton Schultz, AJ Barner, Hunter Henry, Isaiah Likely, who's in a split right now, Jawan Johnson, Mark Andrews. Like, I feel like he should slot into probably below Brenton Strange, but maybe ahead of probably in the tight end 15, 16 range is where he should be slotted in my opinion. So maybe in your redraft, not the most drafted guy just because he will be outside of those top 12. But a very much high upside swing here. So if you like to go with that Andrew Cooper, yin yang strategy at tight end like I do, Chig Okonkwo is going to be someone that I target. And then in best ball, where you're having to take 2-3 tight ends, Okonkwo is going to be a guy that I'm going to target often because I think that his upside is phenomenal in this offense. I think that Washington is going at a discount overall because of last season, and they shouldn't be, because we're going to see them be healthy again. So I think that this is great. There's not a lot of pressure on him. What I do think is, for you Dynasty truthers out there, for Ben Sinnott, I think that your hopes are going to be dashed here as Okonkwo comes in. This was the perfect opportunity for Sinnott to come in and step in and fill the Zach Ertz role. But the fact that they went out and paid decent money to Okonkwo to bring him in tells me that Sinnott is going to be more of a blocking type tight end who might catch a tight end here, a touchdown here or there, but not anything consistent for fantasy purposes. So Okonkwo, arrow up for me. I like him. I'm going to, like I said, I'll be scooping him in best ball as my tight end too frequently. And even in my redraft leagues, I will take him as my high upside tight end when I do my 2 tight end strategy over there as well. Another tight end that's kind of in that middling tight end 15 range currently is Dallas Goedert. And he goes back to Philadelphia, which is interesting because there's a lot of things, a lot of dominoes that are falling in terms of not just Goddard himself coming back to Philadelphia, but A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown was rumored to be traded either to the Patriots, and those talks very quickly cooled down. And there was also rumors that he was going to go to the Denver Broncos. Obviously, that's not going to happen now. So it seems like A.J. Brown might have another year left in Philadelphia unless there is a deal to be made with the New England Patriots. I'm not sure. The whole thing was, from what we were hearing, was Philadelphia is not going to be able to keep both Dallas Goedert and A.J. Brown. So you would think, oh, they signed Goddard, which means they're going to look to move A.J. Brown, but not so fast. Dallas Goedert takes a hefty pay cut here to come back to Philadelphia. After last season, after the amount of touchdowns he caught, you would think he would try to cash in and go get a bag real quick, but he says, no, I want to stay in Philadelphia. He comes back on a cheaper deal, which is interesting because it seems like there's just been friction 2 years in a row now with Dallas Goedert, and this was his out, and he didn't take it. So either the market out there was not great for him, and he just wants to come back to a spot that he had success in, and he wants to go ahead and take a cut to bring back A.J. Brown and try to run it back for another Super Bowl, or there's something going on behind the scenes that I'm not fully aware of, but it's definitely interesting in terms of the A.J. Brown saga, what this means. It feels like it's either the trade to the New England Patriots seems to be waning and fading. Those hopes seem to be fading away, and it seems like A.J. Brown will be having one more year with the Philadelphia Eagles. And in terms of Dallas Goedert himself for fantasy football, he is still firmly planted at tight end 15, and that's a big fat fade for me. He's never been a touchdown guy until last season, and that is a very not sticky stat. It feels like a very much a one-off type of season where the rest of the Philadelphia Eagles offense looked terrible. They fired the offensive coordinator. We got a new offense coming in, and I think that we're going to see what we've seen out of Dallas Goedert 2024 and prior, not what we saw in 2025. So tight end 15, big fade for me. I'd rather wait it out and grab a guy like a Okonkwo and swing for the upside there than hope for just some touchdowns that feel gross to get. That's just my opinion there. But again, keep an eye on A.J. Brown. If A.J. Brown does leave, I feel like that does kind of help Dallas Goedert a little bit here as a red zone target. They need some big-bodied guys there if A.J. Brown is gone because it'll just be Devonta Smith. But maybe it will just be Jalen Hurts and Saquon running the ball in over and over again. Who knows? I got a feeling that we're going to see another version of the run-heavy Philadelphia Eagles this season. So again, tight end 15 is just a big fade for me for Dallas Goedert. Some guys that still need a team here are going to be, as I said before, not a lot of great names still hanging out as we are wrapping up the free agency frenzy. We got Jawan Jennings hiding out there. Can he find success outside of San Francisco? I think he can. I think it just depends on the landing spot. We got David Njoku still hanging out there. That's a very interesting one because it seems like all of the tight end spots are kind of evaporating, and he's just going to end up in a similar situation that he was with Cleveland, where he's going to be splitting. He is not going to be the dude at the tight end position. Maybe Miami, but again, if they're spending all this money, is he going to want to go there? I don't know. I don't know what Miami's doing, and I don't know what David Njoku really wants. And then Darren Waller, maybe not dead, maybe not gone, but we will see. We'll keep an eye out for these last final signings, and it looks like we're going to be turning our eyes towards the NFL draft. We're going to be doing our rookie prep here on Wake and Take coming up. I think all of the big best ball, the big free agent signings are done. Trades obviously can pop in and be our big news here, but I think that it's officially time that I turn my eyes over to that rookie guide and we go ahead and we start taking a look at these rookies and start getting excited for that NFL draft. Like I said, about a month out here, and that's when it's full go. That's when everything starts to settle, and that's when the best ball streets really get shaken up, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. It's fun now where you can go ahead and just take absolute gut checked shots on your rookies now, on the teams that you think will draft a guy. Maybe they won't, maybe they will. This is your best time to take those shots. And that's one of my favorite things about the pre NFL draft best ball is you really just got to go with, like, you have to, as a player, just think ahead of what happens if they don't draft a guy, what happens if they do draft a guy. And that's one of my favorite things. That's a part of the puzzle that I love there. But I had an absolute blast with you guys for this show. I appreciate you for tuning in. As I said earlier, make sure that you hit the like button. Make sure that you are subscribed to the Player Profiler Now channel. Share this with your friends, whether it's via YouTube, via the podcast. If it is on the podcast, remember to leave a review as well. And as always, I appreciate you guys for always coming out, sticking with about one show a week now for Wake and Take in the off season. Once we get closer to draft season, I will be back to the 2 show a week cadence. But for right now, 1 show a week. Trying to stick to the Tuesdays, but sometimes it'll be a Thursday, just depending on how the week is going and everything. But I appreciate you guys, and I will catch you next week.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.